Welcome back to part two of chapter 13 of Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm Brene. Hey, your manifesting mentor. I'm not a coach, I'm not a guru, but I'm what? A woman who walks the walk and who shares what works. We're continuing this chapter of chapter 13. And in this section, Dr. Joe takes us deeper into the science of our interconnectedness. This time, he's focusing on the planet itself. So he breaks down the Earth's relationship to solar cycles and introduces us to the Schumann Resonance, which is a frequency emitted between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. What's profound is that this frequency is around 7.83 hertz and is the exact same frequency as the human brain in a relaxed and alpha state. So he says that it's more than symbolic. It's actual proof that we are literally wired to be in sync with the planet, and that when we fall into coherence through heart-centered emotions or meditation, we're not just helping ourselves, we're syncing up with the earth's own natural rhythms as well as our environment, right? So Dr. Joe shares how solar flares and geometric activity affect our emotions, behavior, and even heart rhythm. So this might be for the people who are into what do you call it? Like, I can't even think of the word, astrology. Yeah, who are into astrology. Anyways, let's get to it. The Earth's relationship to solar cycles. As the Earth rotates daily on its axis, every morning the sun brings light into the darkness, warmth and comfort to the chill night of night, photosynthesis to plants, and security to humans. It's for this reason that as far back as 14,000 BCE, adoration of the sun has been sketched onto stone tablets and cave walls. Countless mythologies, including civilizations in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, the Mayans and the Aztecs, and the Australian Aborigines, I think I said that right, Aborigines, to name a few, have extolled the sun as worthy of worship, as well as a source of enlightenment, illumination, and wisdom. No matter the location, most cultures have recognized the sun as the prime controller of all life on the earth, because without it, life here could not exist. For the most part, humans are electromagnetic beings, entities that constantly send and receive messages via vibrational energies, whose bodies are made up of gravitationally organized light and information. In fact, everything material in this three-dimensional world is gravitationally organized light and information. Just as we are individual electromagnetic beings, we are but a small link in the chain of an electromagnetic world, the individual parts of which cannot be separated from the whole. On the grand scale, it is impossible to deny interconnectivity between the sun's energy, the earth's energy, and the energy of all living species. On a micro level, all you have to do is look at the life cycle of a fruit or vegetable to understand this interdependence. The vegetable of fruit begins as a seed, and when the environment conditions such as water, temperature, nutrient rich soil, and photosynthesis conspire, these conditions enable the seed to germinate. Eventually, the blossom of the seed becomes an integral part of an ecosystem, as well as a source of sustenance and nourishment for various forms of life. This complex chain of delicate balance of events all begins with the Earth's uniquely situated location in our solar system, known as the habitable zone. Circumstellar habitable zone. This is a range of orbital distance around a star or sun in which a planet can support liquid water. While the sun may be almost 93 million miles away, when it becomes active, it has significant consequences to life on Earth because the Earth and the sun are related by electromagnetic fields. The purpose of the Earth's electromagnetic field, see figure 13.1, is to protect it from the harmful effects of solar radiation and sunspots, cosmic rays, and other forms of space weather. Although not totally understood, sunspots are relatively dark, cool areas of the sun caused by interactions within the sun's magnetic field. They can be up to 32,000 miles in diameter. You can think of sunspots as a cap on a seltzer bottle. If you shake the bottle and then remove the cap, it's going to produce a large release of photons, light, and other forms of high frequency radiation. If we are if it were not for the protection and insulation of the Earth's electromagnetic fields, life as we know it could not exist, for we would be constantly bombarded by a steady stream of deadly particles. For example, when there are solar flares, the Earth's electromagnetic field protects the planet by deflecting trillions of tons of photonic emissions called mass coronal ejections. Mass coronal ejections are huge explosions of plasma and magnetic fields from the sun's corona that can extend millions of miles into space. Their effects tend to reach the Earth's an average of 24 to 36 hours after they occur. These ejections compress the Earth's field, heating the Earth's iron core. Did you know that the core of Earth was iron? Anyways, as this core becomes altered, it changes the planet's electromagnetic field. These ejections are part of the solar cycles that occur approximately every 11 years, and they have a potential to disturb all living organisms on the Earth. The recording of solar cycles began in 1755, but in 1915, an 18-year-old Russian boy named Alexander Chevesky took mankind's understanding of the sun and its relation to the earth to the next level when he spent his summer observing our sun. During the summer, he began hypothesizing that periods of solar activity might have effects on the organic world. A year later, he entered World War I, and when not fighting for Russia, he again cast his observations toward the sun. He noticed in particular that battles tended to wax or wane depending on the strength of solar flares. See graphic 14 in the color insert. Chizvesky, I think I'm saying that right. Chizhevsky. I'm sorry, y'all. Later, Chevesky later compiled the histories of 72 countries from 1749 to 1926, comparing the annual number of important political and social events, such as the start of wars, revolutions, outbreaks of diseases, and violence, with increased solar activity, demonstrating a correlation between the sun's activity and human excitability. Equally interesting, solar activity has also been associated with a great human flourishing, including innovations in architecture, science, the arts, and social change. Every place where you see the red line spiked in the graphic represents the active solar flare or sunspot that occurred between the years 1750 and 1922. The blue lines represent historically important events that took place within the same period. Chevesky's eventually determined that 80% of these countries' most significant events occurred during the solar events and geomagnetic activity. The solar release of energy, which is always carrying information, seems to be in almost perfect coherence with the activities, the energy, and the consciousness of our planet. It just so happens that at the time of this writing in 2017, we are in the midst of a very active solar cycle. So I stand corrected. He wrote this book in 2017. In the past decade, much has been said about how this solar energy has affected the planet and all of life that inhibits it. In 2012, doomsayers thought the end of the Mayan calendar, which correlates to the December solstice, meant the end of the world. It was meant the end of the world was at hand. Today's astrologers talk about the age of Aquarius, as astrological age is a period consisting of approximately 2,150 years that corresponds to the average time it takes for the vernal equinox to move from one constellation of the zodiac into the next, and how it will usher in a new awareness for humanity. Astronomers and cosmologists talk about galactic alignment, a rare astronomical event occurring every 12,960 years that brings the sun into alignment with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Regardless of what you believe, all of these occurrences point to the solar cycles that increase the energy coming toward the Earth from the sun. Since we are electromagnetic beings connected to the Earth through electromagnetic fields and shielded from the sun by electromagnetic fields, this increase in energy from the sun is going to change both the energy of the sun and our personal energy. I'm sorry, both the energy of the earth and our personal energy. This means that this new energy has the potential to influence human beings in either positive or negative ways, depending on our individual energy. For example, if you are feeling separation, living by survival emotions, and enslaved to the hormones and chemical stress and chemicals of stress, your brain and heart are going to fire incoherently. This will cause your energy and awareness to become divided and out of balance. And the increase in energy from the sun is going to enhance that state of being. Therefore, if you're living in incoherence, that incoherence is going to become amplified. By the same means, if you're living in coherent alignment of head and heart, working daily in your meditations to connect to the unified field and to overcome your limited beliefs and abilities and your limited beliefs and attitudes, you're going to be propelled even further into the truth and understanding of who you are and what your purpose is. And this is why we keep talking about in the spiritual, just different spiritual communities at large, is that there's a great awakening. And as we are changing, our collectiveness is changing as we're becoming aware of our ability to become more coherent, and we're doing it intentionally. Things seem to be happening faster, like we're evolving faster, we're learning faster, we're growing faster. Our babies are being born being able to hold their own necks steady. Their eyes are wide open. I remember years ago when I was younger and people would have babies, you used to have to support the neck. When they were newborns, their eyes would mostly stay closed during majority of the day because the sunlight would be too bright. And I was like, is it just me, or are these babies bionic babies? Like, because since the pandemic, people that I know that have had children, that have had babies, and I've been fortunate to be an amazing auntie, to be around my relatives that have had babies, and they're not the same. They're so highly intelligent. They learn differently. People talk about the spike in autism, but I think they're just creative in a different kind of way than we're used to because everything is changing. But I digress. Here we go. He says, the bottom line is that we're in the midst of an initiation. I'm sorry. By the same means, if you're living in a coherent, I said that already. But I'm read it again. By the same means, if you're living in the coherent alignment of head and heart, working daily in your meditations to connect to the unified field and to overcome your limited beliefs and attitudes, you're going to be propelled even further into the truth and understanding of who you are and what your purpose is. The bottom line is that we are in the midst of an illusion. We are in the midst of an initiation, and it's going to take a tremendous amount of will, awareness, and consciousness to stay focused so as to not succumb to these excitable energies. And by the way, they are extremely excitable. It's so hard to not tune in. It's especially with social media. I post on social media. It's really hard to not tune in to what's happening and not feel emotional. I do. But I'm also really glad that I have this practice that I pop up every day to remind people who are into this work, hey, we have this practice. Pull back. It's nothing wrong with knowing what's going on, but don't let that in here. Don't let that be internalized within you, that it gets to screw up your equilibrium, your coherence, your health, so on and so forth. So, as we maintain and manage our inner environment better, we get to have more influence on the external world and not the other way around. So, if we can maintain our focus, and then instead of being victims of the uncertainty, we can transmute this energy. He said it, not me. We can transmute this energy into greater degrees of orderliness, coherence, and even peace, both personally and globally. See what I'm saying? But he's saying, but I'm saying because I'm reading it. Yeah. In the simplest terms, this energy is going to endorse who you are being. That is how you are thinking and feeling. So the next section is the Schumann resonance. In 1952, German physicist and Professor W.O. Schumann hypothesized there were measurable electromagnetic waves in the atmosphere in the cavity or space between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. According to NASA, the ionosphere is an abundant layer of electrons ionized atoms and molecules that stretches from approximately 30 miles above the surface of the Earth to the edge of space, about 600 miles up. This dynamic region grows and shrinks and further divides into subregions based on solar conditions and its critical link in the chain of Sun Earth's interactions. It's this celestial power station that makes radio communications possible. In 1954, Schumann and H.L. Koenig confirmed Schumann's hypotheses by detecting resonances at a main frequency of 7.83 hertz. Thus, the Schumann resonance was established by measurable global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in the ionosphere. You can think of this frequency as a tuning fork for life. In other words, it acts as a background frequency influencing the biological circuitry of the mammalian brain, which is the brain of the mammal. Come on, man. The subconscious brain below the neocortex, which is also the home of the autonomic nervous system. The Schumann frequency affects our body's balance, health, and very nature as mammals. In fact, the absence of the Schumann resonance can cause serious mental and physical health issues in the human body. This was demonstrated through research by German scientist Ruther Weaver from Max Planck Institute for Behavioral Psychology in Erlangen-Andechs, Germany. In the study, he took young, healthy student volunteers for 4 weeks at a time and placed them in hermetically sealed underground bunkers and screened out the Schumann frequency. Throughout the 4 weeks, the students' circadian rhythms changed, causing them to suffer emotional distress and migraine headaches. When Weaver introduced the Schumann frequency back into the bunkers after only a brief exposure to 7.83 hertz, the volunteers' health returned to normal. As far back as we know, the Earth's electromagnetic field has been protecting and supporting all living things with this natural frequency pulsation of 7.83 hertz. You can think of the Schumann's resonance as the Earth's heartbeat. The ancient Indian rishis referred to this as Om. You know that Om. Yeah, that's Schumann's resonance, the Earth's heartbeat. Why we chant, our brain's frequency, or the incarnation of pure sound. Whether by coincidence or not, 7.83 hertz also happens to be a very powerful frequency used with brainwaves entrainment, as it is associated with low levels of alpha and the upper range of theta brainwave states. It is this range of brain waves that allows us to get beyond the analytical mind and into the subconscious. Thus, this frequency has also been associated with high levels of suggestibility, meditation, increased human growth hormone levels, and increased cerebral blood flow levels. It appears then that the Earth's frequency and the brain's frequency have very similar resonances, and that our nervous system can be influenced by the Earth's electromagnetic field. Perhaps this is why getting out of the city and into nature often provides such a calming effect. And this is why I like to live in the suburbs, y'all. I'm not going to just saying, I got a preference. At any rate, up next in part 3, we'll talk about the concept of emergence, how powerful transformation and new order arises from seemingly chaotic conditions when we tap into collective coherence. Make sure you subscribed, please, because it helps me, it helps you stay up to date when I'm uploading new videos and notified here on YouTube so that you don't miss this next part and the rest. I'll see you in the next video.